Okay, guys, we left off with them at Bluff Creek and setting up the campsite. This chapter, chapter 16, is titled A Talking Lump of Wood. You'll have three questions. You only have to pick two of those three questions to answer, and it will be due on Friday of this week. A Talking Lump of Wood. After the sun falls behind the trees and the woods grow dark and cool and even scarier, Charlie makes a roaring campfire. It lights our campsite with a warm, fiery glow that makes it feel like a safe, cozy living room out in the middle of nowhere. On a griddle, he cooks up juicy hamburgers with slices of American cheese on top. Then he peels the label off the can of baked beans and he places the can right near the flames to heat it all up. After I bite into my smoky, cheesy burger, I decide that Charlie can cook hamburgers in the woods way better than he can cook Oscar Myers on the stove. After supper, we roast marshmallows on long sticks we find out in the woods. When the marshmallows are brown and crispy on the outside and gooey on the inside, we take them off the tip stick and we smush them in between graham crackers with half of a Hershey chocolate bar to make s'mores. I eat three of them, and I only lose two marshmallows in the fire. Tobin loses three, but he eats five. Charlie tells silly ghost stories that are more funny than scary, and it makes me forget that we're deep in the woods, just waiting to be eaten by something ferocious or poisoned by something venomous. Tobin is the first to fall asleep. He's still curled up in his lawn chair next to the fire. Tired? Charlie asks me. He's using his pocket knife to whittle a lump of wood he found on the ground. No, I say, not really. I stare into the crackling fire. The logs are turning white and black as the bright orange flames dance over the embers, moving to the pop and crackle beat. Even though the air is cold now, the fire fills the small space around us. When a patch of cool air slips through the wraps and around my shoulders, I shiver. Charlie looks up then. He takes off his blue windbreaker and he hands it to me. Thanks, I say. I put it on and it smells just like him, like Irish Spring, and the bottle of Old Spice he keeps on the bathroom counter. The lump of wood in his hand looks like it could either end up being a bear or maybe Mount Rushmore. Still too soon to tell. It's quiet except for the crackling and popping of the flittering flames. It seems like it takes forever for anyone to say anything while I watch the logs and I watch Charlie carve. I don't know what your mother's told us about us, he starts, not looking at me. Nothing, I say. Then it's quiet again for a really long time. His eyebrows are low as he concentrates on his carving. We did not get along after her mother died, he tells me. And he clears his throat, and I look at him. Well, why not? Well, I suppose it was because we were sad, you know? We didn't know what to do with all our sadness about losing someone who had meant so much, someone we shouldn't have had to lose, someone we weren't expecting to lose. Everything changed, and I know you know what I mean by that, Lem. I do, and I tell him so. Yeah, I say. So we let our sad and our mad feelings just take over us, and instead of loving and supporting each other after she died, we hurt each other with our words. I think about that volcano inside of me and all the spewing lava that comes out when I don't even mean it to. Makes me wonder if Mama had a volcano inside her too. Elizabeth Lily Witt. And I swallow hard. I can't imagine how difficult it must be to lose her the way you did, kid. Clearing his throat a bunch of times. To be all alone, watch her get sick and not be able to do anything to help her. A day doesn't go by that I wish I had done something to help her out. If I had known, maybe I could have. Well, anyway, I should have been there to take care of her and you. I took care of her just fine, I point to myself. I did it. I didn't need anyone to do it. I swallow again, but the lump just keeps getting bigger, and now my eyes are watering up too. I wipe them with my forearm. I'm sure you did a great job of taking care of her, Lem says. Charlie's voice sounds shaky on the last word, and he clears his throat again. I just wish I could have been there, too. I miss your mom more than I can tell you. Losing her now is like losing her twice for me. I always hoped we could repair our relationship and become a family again, but I know that's never going to happen. I sniff and I wipe my eyes again. A log crumbles and breaks into two, making a loud popping sound that sends sparks leaping toward the sky. I watch the fire trying to swallow away the lump that just won't go down. Her name was Rebecca. Yep, he says after a long pause. Rebecca Genevieve Witt. He says it slowly, in a way that makes it sound like a real important name that he wants the universe to remember. Rebecca Genevieve Witt. Is that your wedding ring? I point to the bright silver thing on his hand. Yep. And I keep hers on a chain around my neck, too. And he pulls out a thin chain from under his collar and he shows me. It's smaller, it's bright silver ring with a diamond on it. It makes me feel close to her. I wish I had a ring of Mama's to carry around my neck, too. How? I start, but my voice comes out all squeaky and high. I clear my throat, too, now. How'd you learn to breathe again? I ask. I wonder if he knows what I mean about the sadness inside me. Sometimes I feel so sad inside. I just don't think I'm ever going to feel good again. Not ever. And it scares me like I'm drowning in sadness quicksand. If I don't get out, no one's ever going to find me. And what's worse, it feels like no one even looking. Charlie stops his carving when I ask him that question, and he looks straight at me. I can see that his eyes are watery, just like mine. One day at a time, Lem. Sometimes, and he blinks back some tears. Sometimes, it's one moment at a time. I stare at the flames, and Charlie goes back to his Mount Rushmore. Maybe it's Bigfoot he's carving out of that thing. It's good to talk about it, though, he says. I wipe my eyes again with my arm, and I sniff, and I point to the carving. What is that thing anyway you have? He looks at it, and he holds it out, examining it in the light of the fire. I whittle until it tells me what it wants to be. What's the wood saying, I ask. He just examines it, and he pretends to listen to it. She's pretty quiet tonight, he smiles. What does it look like to you? I squint and I turn my head to the side, and then I close the other eye and I wrinkle my nose. A bunny, I decide. He raises his eyebrows, he looks at it again. Well, I do believe you might be right. Mama loves bunnies, I say, thinking of the gray ceramic bunnies that she had on the rooftop deck at home. Bunnies dancing, bunnies hopping. There was even one bunny holding a big red heart. Yep, he says softly, your mama sure did.